Good afternoon, everyone. Mary Sloan here with another episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. And my guest this afternoon, Krystal Hille, is certainly somebody who is, in fact, making a tremendous difference in the lives of a lot of people who have always wanted to be a best-selling author. And for those of us who are out there in the world of coaching or in the world of, anything online, being a published author, especially a best-selling published author, is an amazing tick mark that says, yes, I'm really somebody. So this is somebody that you can go to for help if that's something that you want to tick off and go, yes, I'd like that. So she's the CEO of Hille House Publishing, soul leadership coach, and international #1 best-selling author, publisher, and speaker. So she's done for herself what she'll do for you. With 30 years in leadership, a background in theater directing, tantric practices, and female empowerment, she is passionate about gathering change makers and conscious creatives who align with her mission to awaken and empower humanity into deeper sovereignty and connection. Since early 2021, Krystal has transformed around 90 thought leaders into international best-selling authors so that their passion can ignite global change and enhance their authority and reach. She's attracted the likes of Dr. John Demartini and Dr. Larry Farwell into her recent books. So those are really amazing things that you have done. So what is it that you really want to let our audience know this afternoon that you want to make sure they go away with?
Well, we titled this conversation Author FOMO and tips on how you can become a best-selling author as well, and how you can become an author. And as I was reflecting on that, there are some people who are always saying, oh yeah, one day I'll do that. One day I'll do that. And this one day is getting pushed into the future further and further and further. And there's actually a statistic that says that 81% of the population want to write a book one day. And only 97% of those actually never do it. So what I feel with this technology and with the age that we've been moving into, where self-publishing is becoming more and more accessible, and we don't have to rely on these big publishing houses who are then wanting to take our intellectual property and make it their own and change it for us because they think it doesn't market or sell well, want to change our voice or put us into lock-in contracts that we can't get out of and can't write anywhere else, and ask us to have a following of maybe like tens of thousands of people. So that's one way. And I know that's still a very good way because you can actually get paid for your work. But the hurdles, as I've just described, are incredibly big to overcome for just an average entrepreneur. And so I feel that this self-publishing, which is the industry that I'm in, is a really powerful alternative that has become incredibly popular over the last couple of years, where you don't even have to write a whole book, because that's another thing, right? We don't have time. We're also very busy, and it's quite a daunting thing to think that you have to create a cohesive, full book with your expertise. But we all know we have a story, and we all know that our transformation, our journey that we've been on can actually benefit somebody else. And so this concept of creating compilation books, multi-author books, where up to, I take up to 25 people into my books. Authors can come in, write 8 pages in a book that is themed towards a specific theme, is a less daunting task. And it can actually be done in 2 evenings if you kind of know what you want to write about. So it changes, it doesn't take as much time. You're doing it in a fun environment with other like-minded people, with the additional bonus of collaborating, creating collaborations. And this is what I love. And this is what, you've mentioned a little bit about my background. I've got a coaching background. I've also got a theater background. And my skill set really is to bring the best out of the people I work with. Both, when you're directing actors, what I have a unique ability to really see somebody's essence and then externalize that. I see it in a way that they might sometimes not even see it themselves. And when you've ever been with a coach, or if you are a coach, this phenomena. That because we were talking before we went live that we have to really deal with our self-talk, right, and our beliefs, and that it's not that we don't know certain things, but it's that what's going on between the eyes that is often creating these blockages. And so what I have the ability in is to see the potential and to believe in that potential and to bring that potential out. So suddenly everyone who goes through my process, be that as an actor when I was working in the theater world, be that as a client when I'm coaching, and now in publishing as well. And I didn't think that was possible, but it is. When I'm holding this container for my contributors, when I'm seeing their story, I just hold them in their highest essence. And that's what comes out. And what happens is that they come out of this process transformed, not just as a best-selling author, but also with heightened clarity around who they are. And as a result, heightened confidence in who they are. And so they're showing up differently in the world. And that's what I love.
Yeah, I can see that. And, I've seen a couple of these compilation books, not necessarily that you've done, but other people as well. And it's, quite impressive to think that, you could be on a book cover with some big, or in a book with some, big name. And, somebody that literally the world knows. And it's kind of like, wow, I was in a book with that person. Or, there's lots of amazing people in their own fields who are really giants that will go into these compilation books because they're stressed for time too. And to have that opportunity, and they know that they're helping people by being there, being kind of like the named act. But on the other hand, they're getting lots of benefit out of it too, because a whole world of new audience learns about them. So what a win-win.
Exactly. And yeah, that's what I love, because I was very surprised the amount of people who came into my world who didn't know Dr. John DeMartini. If some people just don't, and that's totally okay. I don't know many people either, but so he was in The Secret. To be a co-author with a contributor or somebody who's been featured in The Secret is just such a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah, and it's been the making of a number of people. I mean, the number of people who got to be world known and got to be named in their field because of The Secret. It's astonishing, really.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, again, that was a compilation movie, so these compilations can be probably more powerful than doing a book by yourself. And as I've heard from people who help authors, the point isn't to try and sell the book. The book is your calling card. It's like your your point of credibility from which you then make money doing what you love and being an expert. So, you don't want to spend all your time on creating your calling card. And your calling card can be even more impressive if it's a kind of joint event where you're kind of, getting the credibility from all the other people in the book, and the same for them,
Exactly. And not only the credibility, but also the network.
You're
being exposed to
all
of the networks of everybody who's in the book, which is so powerful. And I love in my book Collaboration, there was two people who who really had aligned values, and they were both running workshops, but they had a different skill set. One was sort of in the embodiment sphere, and the other one was more in the sort of spiritual mentor. And they got together because they met in the book, and they're now running high-end retreats in Costa Rica together.
Oh, cool. That's
so
wonderful.
That's just, this is what I love. You never know what can happen in a book. And it's sometimes I feel like people, especially those people who are really logical and need to kind of know all the details, I feel like sometimes they're preventing themselves from an opportunity, because with these books, it's like a magic, it's magic. You never know where it's going to lead, who's going to read your chapter, who else is going to be in the book that might just be the door opener for you, or that you might have a powerful connection with. Yeah, that's what I love about these as well. They're unpredictable, they're magical, and it's about the alignment. When you're aligned to the theme, when you're aligned to the publisher, the person who's doing them, that's enough. Often people that I attract, they come in because they just know they have to be in it. Like they get a body resonance, like this inner knowing, this gut feeling, and that's how they know. And I think when we make decisions from this place of deep inner trust and deep alignment to our gut and to our intuition, it's always going to be a win-win somewhere. And we don't know what that is, but we just know that we have to do something.
Absolutely. So I'm interested, how do you get a book started? I can get all the wonders of people starting to come together, but how do you get a book started?
I think it starts in my head.
So you're usually the catalyst for a book.
Yes.
And then you go looking for authors that would fit the book.
Exactly. So I look at, okay, what is a theme that I would love to explore? At the moment, the book behind me is, which way do I need to go? Inspired Entrepreneurs. And that's
always hard on Zoom to figure out which way to move.
Yes. So I was at a stage where I was curious about this thing of being an entrepreneur. Like in the past, I identified as a coach, as a theater director, as a writer, as a mother. But entrepreneur wasn't really one that I would say, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. And so I was like, okay, so how do we bring all of these different roles that we have together with this overarching title of business owner, entrepreneur? And that's what I wanted to explore, because what I realized is that when I made that connection between coach and entrepreneur, my business, I was showing up in my business differently, because I was now an entrepreneur, and there you had to act in a certain way, and you had to focus in a certain way, and to integrate that with the work that I'm passionate about was fascinating. So my income reflected this shift in consciousness, and I wanted to explore that in a book, especially for people who are coming out of the 9-to-5. So this is the readers who are coming out of the 9-to-5 thinking, how do these people do that? How do you become an entrepreneur? How do you follow your passion? So I'm bringing together these people now. This is the current one that is open for applications, gathering entrepreneurs who are passion-driven, purpose-driven, and really are making a difference in the world, to sharing their journey and the tips and tools and lessons they've picked up along the way.
So what is showing up behind you is the next book, not the one.
That's right.
You mentioned that there's one launching tomorrow. So that one's done. That one's in the bank, so to speak. And we can talk about that. But this is one behind you, Inspired Entrepreneurs. So anybody that would like a book and feels that they want to either fit in that category or fit in that category, would be great for having at least a talk with you and see what's involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a conversation, see if it's in alignment. That's what we always need to find that out first. And is it in alignment? Does it feel good? And if it does, then yes, let's move to the next step. Yeah. But yeah, the next one, the one that launches tomorrow, I have a beautiful background there as well. So I've just changed that. That is called Inspired Living. a guide to ignite joy and prosperity. And that's the sequel to Intuitive Living, which was a practical guide for women who want to deeply trust themselves. Because I feel when we're trusting our intuition, we can really step into a zone of inspiration. We can co-create with whatever you want to call it, the divine, the God, source, the universe. And by listening to our gut, by listening to our intuition, and that's how we live in inspiration and live in our passion. So that's what this book is exploring. It's exploring how we step into our joy and how we can really from that place also step into a flow of abundance and prosperity. And we're launching tomorrow. So that is just extremely exciting. And if you're, the readers, the ones who are going to become readers, if the viewers, whoever is watching us right now is interested in getting this book, I don't know how, Mary, how do we get them? How do we let them know where to get this?
Is it launching on Amazon?
It is launching on Amazon. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And is it launching as an ebook first, or is it launching?
Exactly. So we're launching as a Kindle ebook first, and the bestseller campaign is created around the launch of the ebook. So what we're looking for is as many people as possible to purchase this book in the first 24 hours so that we can make a dent into the Amazon market and get it to bestseller in all the countries. So 9 a.m. When I say tomorrow, it's actually tomorrow in Australia. It launches on the 24th at 9 a.m. around the country. So for you, you'd have to wait another day and a half, until it's Friday, 9 a.m. for you.
So it launches in Australia, but the Amazon website's kind of all open as the country's open. And
that's right.
It's 9 a.m. our time.
Yeah, and I found that sometimes it can be quite hard to find it just by punching it into Amazon. So I've actually put all the links onto my website, krystalhille.com, and then it's /by-inspired-living. And it's just one website for all the different countries. If the link isn't live, then we're not live on Amazon yet. So that's how I decided that's just a super easy way to do it.
Yeah, so it's just your name.com hyphen / by inspired living.
That's it.
Okay, so it's krystalhille.com / by inspired living. And that'll tell people whether or not they can get it yet in their country.
Exactly. And we have, as you mentioned in the bio, we've got Dr. Larry Farwell in this book. He is one of the top 100 inventors of the century. And he's a neuroscientist who has invented fingerprinting and worked with the White House, the FBI, to really help people to identify whether somebody's lying or not, and whether they have a memory of an event in their mind or not.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's fascinating. But that's not what he's writing about in this book. He's also created a book called The Science of Creating Miracles.
Oh, wow.
Because he has in a laboratory, he has proven that we can create through the power of our mind, we can make things shift. And he's explaining how that works because it's all got to do with resonance and frequency and the power of intention to align with a certain frequency. It's fascinating. So that he explains in the book. So just for that alone, for that chapter, it's worth picking it up, and you can get the whole theory in a nutshell in 8 pages rather than reading his whole book. Wow,
that's amazing. Amazing. So who else is in the book that we would absolutely love to know about besides all of them?
Exactly. So we've got so many incredible stories. We've got a lady called Siba Yagi from Dubai, and she lost her sister she actually never mentioned it, and I never asked, but she lost her sister very suddenly during the COVID times. And so she is sharing how that's impacted her and how she's found a silver lining in that, and how she's turned her life around and had an awakening as a result, and how she's now becoming an advocate for especially Arab women to stand up and, really question the status quo and step into who they are, stop people pleasing, and the power with which she communicates her message is incredible.
That's a scary thing for women to do in places like Dubai, actually.
It's so courageous, yes.
But interesting. We just really don't know where we are going to be or how we are going to be inspired. I mean, to have somebody's sudden death inspire us, but I mean, what a wonderful legacy for the person who's now deceased, that this is what, came out of what was obviously a very sad event.
Yes.
And,
exactly.
I think every one of us would love that as a legacy, that it, inspired a wonderful event.
Yes. Yeah, well, I'm just looking here. Oh, where are they all? Here. Yeah, I've got a lady who, Tonya Rutter, for example, she is traveling around the world now, currently in Mexico, and she shares the story of how she suddenly realized that she had extrasensory abilities, and she's now using them to help people deal with their money issues. And I know that, and she can see a money cord in her heart, because she says that money is love. And so she explains and shares this journey of how frequency, it's I don't want to give too much away, but she just sort of shares that journey of how she can help people embody this idea that money is love, and how she can help remove all of the traumas, all of the conditioning that we have received that really created that belief that money is evil.
Well, and money is definitely currency, and so it's alive, it's moving, it's shifting all the time. And I guess with the advent of things like Bitcoin, it becomes more obvious. But it's definitely not this piece of paper that we get to hold. That's got nothing to do. That's just our symbol that we use to have in hand if you need something in hand. So interesting. So who else is in the book? I want to know.
We've got a beautiful lady called Sylvia Morrison. She is a human activist, humanitarian, and she creates libraries in Ghana. So she lived in Canada. She's got an educational background of a professor teaching at a university, and she too just always followed her intuition. And just when things felt right, she listened and she acted on that. And she shares her story of how she ended up moving to Ghana just by following her from Canada, just by following her intuition, and how, as a result of following her inner guidance, she has created many libraries now across Ghana and working there with the people. And her voice, she is such a unique woman, and the transmission comes across on the page as well. This attitude of what her chapter is called, Ready or Not, Here I Come, quantum physics or something. I can't exactly remember right now her title, but it's Ready or Not, Here I Come. And it's like sometimes you just go for it, even if your mind, she says, if I had listened to my mind and not my gut, I wouldn't be where I am today. But what she has done is she's developed a 3-step system or process so that other people who might need a little bit more crutches can do the same thing as well. And so she shares about that in the book.
Oh, that's great. I mean, just to be able to tap into that inner wisdom, I think is an amazing gift. And what's interesting, and I've kind of been down this path, with self-learning and all the rest of it for a while, is it depends to some extent on you too, because you have to be open to the path that opens. And, if you can't see it, then it's not the right one for you, because there is that connection that has to happen, which is always quite amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what this book is all about. It's probably a bit blurry, intuitive living. this is where the authors in that book, they're really exploring their journey of uncovering and listening to their intuition so that they can follow it and create really incredible lives for themselves.
Wow, great books. Great books. So much fun to get to know the authors, get to know their stories, get to help them turn this into something that is a legacy project. And now they've got a book that they can pass on, use, you know, and no matter who you are, a book can be a big help if you want to get indoors or get in places where you would have a challenge otherwise. But, oh, I'm an author and the world changes, you know?
Exactly. And what I love is one of my clients or people in the book is using this book and saying, here, if you want to know a little bit more about my backstory, here you go. You know, so she's working in a professional capacity, but if people want to know why she does what she does or what her story is and what's led her to doing what she does and how she's become the expert in her field, she just gives them the book now.
Isn't that easy?
Yes.
And it already says all kinds of things about the person. So, I mean, the opportunity to have a book that you can provide that, you know, gives people a lot of inspiration about you, plus says credibility. You know?
Lots of credibility, no like and trust factor. It's another point of this in this journey of you need to have 8 points of connection with your ideal clients before they buy. This is a huge one. Like I think it counts for at least 3 or 4, you know, because it's really allowing the reader to see a lot about this person.
Yeah. Well, that's really great. And sadly, our conversation is coming to an end. But if you want to change your screen back so that they can get the one that they could possibly join you in, that would be amazing.
Sorry, I'm clicking the wrong buttons here. Let me just...
Whoops.
Here we go. So people, yes, so this one is open for applications. And again, just find me on LinkedIn or on my website. You can connect there. There's a publishing window and it just takes you directly to the page where you've got all the details about how you can get involved, what's included in this project. And I really look after my authors. Like I give them support with marketing and marketing their products. I give them support with how to get into the media. And as a result of this masterclass that's in the back end in my library, one of our contributors for this one has already been in 3 publications.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is the media doesn't want to feature a coach because they're a coach. But if you've got a book coming out, they're all jumping on you. She was on the back page of something like really prominently. So books really help you to get your message out there because it's, as you said, it's the door opener. And then you can talk about your products.
Well, and it's kind of like an immediate credibility builder. You know, it's like, you go from unknown to, oh, well, she's this, you know, like all of a sudden you're in a completely different category. And that's amazing that can happen. And that, you know, I think that opportunity is even bigger to be in a compilation book because you get all the different connections. So you've got wonderful people coming in, and you bring wonderful people and all the connections that you can now tap into. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I hope people will go to krystalhill.com and remember that there's an E at the end of Hill. And Krystal is spelt with a K. So krystalhill.com. And you can also find the new book that is coming out tomorrow just by doing the / and then it's what's the word?
By inspired living.
By inspired living. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Mary, for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation and having the opportunity to share some of the behind the scenes stories that are happening here at Hille House Publishing.
Well, it's something that we're all curious about. Like, how does this book thing go? And how does a compilation book work? And would it work for me? And how could I? And all those thoughts. So it's wonderful to have somebody who can come explain it in such a clear way and also give some real insight into all the benefits that can come from it, because there are a lot of benefits. So
Yeah.
I hope people will be reaching out to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you.